Hi, hello, and welcome to Nollywood Film Club podcast. I'm Mr. C of Iroko Critic, and how are you doing? Today we have a great conversation for you. It's a great discussion, high quality discussion. It's not like the other ones haven't been, but the high quality is on two different perspectives, or both sides share. So I really enjoyed this one. This sometimes can be my favorite kinds of discussions. Like you're not just having contrarian takes, you're having actually two people who are both passionate, speaking from different perspectives. That is, for me, some of the essence of Nollywood Film Club. So I'm just going to let you enjoy that. There is a pushback section. It's back for this. So just have a look at the timestamps if you want to find that. But I think you should just enjoy the whole conversation, to be honest. But hey, that's just me. I'm biased. I just hope you enjoy Nollywood Film Club discussing Battle on Buka Street. All right. So welcome to Nollywood Film Club. We do discuss Nollywood movies every Sunday, or Nollywood topic. This Sunday we are discussing Battle on Buka Street. We will be discussing the good, the bad, and we'll do a summary or maybe pushback if we have pushback to do. All right. Okay. So let's start with Vanessa. Vanessa.
I'm back to being the first name.
Yeah. Other has been unfortunately restored.
It has been restored. What? I don't know about it, unfortunately, my G. Battle on Buka Street. I hate to say it. I liked it.
Why do you hate to say it?
Because by all standards, I shouldn't like it, yeah? Because I don't like a lot of these
type of comedies.
I don't like a lot of these woo 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 wow 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 many things happening type thing.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm not particularly a huge fan of Mercy since acting. So, I mean, there were many forces that should have led to me not liking this, but I kind of did. Yeah, maybe because I was just vibing really. Mind you, I've watched this twice. I watched the first time when it came out last week, and then I watched it again yesterday with my mother. Yeah. What did I like? I kind of sort of liked Funke Akindele in this. I know it's been a while since Funke has given us like a good performance, but I liked Funke Akindele in this. I thought she gave a pretty good performance in this. Like she expressed a number of emotions, especially when she was outside of the fighting scenes. You know, when she was talking to her son about their father in prison, when she sat him down with the food, when she brought him food into the room. She seemed very genuine in that scene. When her husband broke out of prison and he walked through the door, I liked that scene as well. I think she really thrived in the scenes that weren't about the fighting. So I liked Funke Akindele in this. Who else did I like? I mean, I always like Nkemowo. I liked Nkemowo in this. I guess I like the premise of it. I know it sounds. I know it seems weird. A film about people fighting. Funke has done a number of like factioning scenes, factioning groups, two different factions fighting. There's enmity between two people. I don't know something about. I don't know. Maybe it felt very nostalgic of like Fuji House of Commotion. Something about that just works for me. Polygamous families are great. Hello.
Yeah, all right.
You guys
Okay,
hear
yeah.
me? I just need someone to come back and
You
hear
went bad for a
can hear
second.
you.
Hello? Oh my god, my internet's gone too.
No, we can hear you now. We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. I was saying it sort of reminded me of Fuji House of Commotion, which is probably why I really liked it. The polygamous family situation being a source of strife just works. There's that background, there's that baseline for like why there should be conflict, even though the conflict doesn't make sense. It kind of just does make sense because they're in a polygamous household. I like that, even though like she gave us backstory, and I hate the narrating. I probably will hate all narrating in Nollywood for years to come, but I guess it made sense for setting up the premise of this and introducing us to these characters. So I guess it served its purpose. I liked the first and second acts. No, I like the first and third act. The second act just was a bunch of fighting in the middle, was really repetitive and annoying. But I liked the absurdity of the third act. It kind of is just like, yeah, we're about to end this film. How do we end this film with the biggest bang possible? And there's prisoners breaking out of prison. There's a whole youth chase. There's a abandoned farmland. It's a whole. I just like all the combinations of all the multiple things. There are a lot of callbacks to old Nollywood and old and Funke's background in the Yoruba film industry, with the climbing Orioke, like Seven Mountains, and all of it. Just felt very. I guess that's what it is that made me like this. It just felt very nostalgic. I was just vibing basically, but it definitely had a number of flaws. And that's it, guys.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vanessa. Interesting, I did not hear Mercy Johnson amongst your likes, which certifies you as a hater as far as I'm concerned. But we will move on regardless. If you do want to join in, you can request to be a speaker, or you can just comment beneath the space. All right. Onyeka, please tell us some of the things you liked about Battle on Buka Street.
All right. I liked this week. It was wonderful. It was enjoyment. I actually watched a movie. Well, I also was okay with the other ones, but this time I actually really like it, and it wasn't. I wasn't. In, I wasn't more than necessarily taken aback, and it wasn't an attack. This movie is good. It's a good mainstream, steeped in Nollywood. In fact, I think one of the reasons why this movie makes sense and why this movie was making money up and down the what's it called? Theaters. And if we had more theaters in Nigeria, I'm pretty sure this movie will make a lot more money. Or even in South Africa. Because this movie is culturally specific. It is indeed, in many ways, it can also be very universal, but it is culturally specific, and it seems like it respects the fact that it's from Nollywood. It's just Nollywood with better production. Even all of its like cinema language, even it takes cinema language from what's it called? Cinema techniques from other parts of the world, because doing just the technicality should kind of always kind of be the same. Using a camera and knowing how to use a camera. Yeah, that one is nice. That one is universal. But it is so well made within, like, it doesn't get me confused. I'm not thinking America. I'm not like people from all parts of Nigeria can connect to this. All parts of Nigeria can connect to this. They actually know who their audience is first, and it works. The story indeed just also reminds you kind of like how old Nollywood always have. It's something that I find common to not just Nollywood, but I also find it to Bollywood and also like Korea, where they like really, really melt genres, and the story is not just only in one place. It's kind of like big and encompass a lot of people. And and like a Bollywood movie, it was over 2 hours long, but less than a Bollywood movie, because usually those movies are very close to 3 hours. And it is not just shouting, grabby. It also talks about family, and like it gives almost all characters a sort of character arc, not necessarily like they don't necessarily change, because being Shola Shibawe's character does not necessarily change. But I find it very interesting that Shola Shobaboy's character, um, what's it called? Hold on. Um, guys, hold on. So sorry, I'm getting a call, but let me just.
Okay. All right,
Okay.
we'll bring it
Wait.
back on.
No. I will call the person back later. I just needed to
Oh,
text the person.
of course. I like you. Your priorities are right. Go ahead.
This is not going to happen all the time. It's because this is a good movie. You didn't destroy me.
Just
So
allow me to have this one. Allow me to
okay,
have it.
okay, okay. I'll allow you. I'm just, you know. Um, where was I? Yes, I liked how like Shola Shobaro's character and Mercy Johnson's character kind of reflect each other in their kind of wanting for that vengeance and not really like loosening it up until the end. Mercy Johnson character kind of loosening it up, but um I I like how and Funke Akindele's character of like knowing that there's some lines that should not be crossed is also very reflective of Tina and Baz's character. I kind of like how they did that, but like how they did that. Um I also like the romance of like Mercy Johnson and I've forgotten the actor's name. I know he's big in Kannywood. I'm so sorry. I like that. I like the food that was presented. Um, it is very. I like the fact that even the younger characters get their own story, and I like how we turned into like this sort of like I like the romance, the story between Funke Akindele's and her husband. We get, we get, we get that sort of like what's it called? It's not tragic love story, but the kind of hardship love story thing about about like the life forces beyond themselves, dragging them away from each other, and that sort of thinking about the injustice of things that are bigger than them. We get commentary on a lot of things. Do they all get fully explained in their own? No, but it works for the movie, and it's not the main trace of the movie. And the movie is also even about I I just really like how a lot of things are done. Even a lot of the dialogue too is not most of it is not bad. Most of the dialogue is not bad. And it is I how am I going to borrow I'm going to borrow a word from Indian cinema, masala. It is like masala. It's like a masala. That's what it is. Entertainment. It has to have everything. Well, this movie does not have everything, but it basically seems like that, everything. And yes, there's a reason why this movie is definitely the biggest budget, like getting that many people to come and watch it. It's a movie that I would gladly show, like foreigners. I don't care. I would gladly show this movie. Actually, I don't care about anything. I would gladly show any type of Nigerian movie. But, but like, yeah, It is something that people can connect to. It is nice. It is well made. It shows competency. It is respectful of like Nollywood and Nollywood history. It is it is respectful of the fact that we Nigerians are your primary audience. Don't go be doing like American something and then show it to us and tell us that we are enjoying this nonsense. And it's not out, and then you have the audacity to be telling me you're selling me my culture. Nonsense. And yet the Americans will not like it too because they wouldn't. It's so I'm so sorry. I shouldn't be insulting other other movies, but I have been suffering because of this club. But yes, I truly enjoy this movie. Truly enjoy this movie. It's a good movie to watch. It's a good show of like mainstream Nigerian movie, Nollywood movie that respects Nollywood, that respects us, and it's steeped in our own cinema language. This is one of our own, not not just copying others and then presenting it and making me think that I should give you like Oscar. Go ahead, go get your own Oscar. But anyway, that's kind of it. There's a lot of goods, but I can't continue talking. There are other people that have to talk. Bye bye.
All right. Thanks, Erika. A lot of comments coming through. I said a lot this three, but a lot. Ademi says, Battle on Buka Street feels good based on the production design, diverse Nigerian languages, compelling story, and the cast, especially Moshood Fata. Interesting. All right. Adeyemi also says, certainly good for food tourism. The choice of amala, which is consumed by most Nigerians, makes it very cool to watch. Never eaten amala, but point taken. Zainab says, so many likes makes me question if I watch a different movie. All right. Okay. Zainab with some shade. All right. But we're in the good section. Let's keep it light. Actually, in the comment section, you can do what you want. React to whoever's comments. But yes. All right. So I think third person, I think it was Elizabeth. I have lost track already. Elizabeth, do you want to tell us some things you liked about? I think so.
Sorry, I have a cold, so I was clearing my throat. Okay, so what did I like about Battle on Lucas Street? I think for me it's going to be the production design. And set design. I liked a lot of the set design. Like not a lot. I liked every single piece there, from the houses to even the Buka Street itself, or tower, to the shack where they kept nationally. So I think this is one thing that the design for the city rooms very nostalgic for me, extremely nostalgic. Took me back to early 90s. I don't know, I still there, but took me back to early 90s. The chairs, the upholstery looks very familiar. The rooms, the hospital. I think, yeah, for the hospital looks so familiar. So I'm like, okay, I really like this. Especially because when I'm watching like foreign movies, not Hollywood, but other countries like foreign movies, I see the way their interior, the how raw these images look, especially the set design. So I think that's the major thing for me. And yet the food, I would have said food in movies because I really like seeing food in films. But it was only Amala racing, so maybe not exactly food in movie, but yeah. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Elizabeth. I think next was a task. Please tell us some of the things you liked.
Okay. The cast, yeah. So I thought the cast was fun. I enjoyed the progression from Bimbo to Shola, and yeah, the cast in general was nice. Mercy Johnson had some pockets of acting that were interesting to watch. I liked the performance actually that Ade, was it Ademide, that was his name. Yeah, so he had the show towards the end of the movie where he's like singing a song on stage. I mean, I guess compared to the last thing we watched, his stage performance was pretty nice. So I kind of bought that he could be a movie star. I thought that Funke's reception of her husband when he came back was convincing. Actually, probably one of the better and more cohesive parts of the movie. When he comes home and that whole sequence from like welcoming him to like getting him cleaned. But yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Tess. I think Mashid, I think that's his name. Getting more recognition. That's fine. I think Omar Dudu, you are next.
Okay, hi everyone. What do I like about Bats on Buka Street? I think I like the premise of this movie. I kind of like the premise. It works like it's something that I think it's kind of like the Yoruba movie industry kind of story, and it works. And I like that Funke knows how to, get people to watch our movies, because she kind of did Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa kind of mixture. I like that. I like the set design of this movie. It looks real, especially the Buka street kind of the market. Everything looked real. So I like the costume. Yeah, especially the part Puka and our friends. I kind of like their costume. They look. So the acting. I like Mercy Johnson's performance. Yeah, she had some moments, and she had some moments that she overdid, but I kind of like when she was narrating about her husband, and she rebuked her daughter for being ungrateful. I kind of like that moment. I felt it. Um, Moshood Fatah, I think he did well. Yeah. And Messi's first daughter, I think I like her too. She did well too. I would I look forward to seeing her in another movie. Who again? I liked Funke too. The comedy moments, like that part where she was saying Amala this way, I kind of like that part. And when that Iboma was, christening his child, I kind of like Funke in that too. Tinamba, I like that too. She played the sick elderly. She played it well. Nkemo, I don't know if I pronounced his name very well. I liked him too. He didn't overdo anything, and it was kind of okay as the husband. The casting of this movie works. It works. And then the cinematography. I think I like the cinematography a bit, especially the way the Buka Street. It's They did it where that it was not clumsy or not too much that you won't be able to get anything. So the cinematography works, especially when Mercy Johnson's character returned to Ottawa. Like how they reviewed that. So I like that too. I think that's what I like about the movie. Yeah.
All right, thanks so much, DJ. I enjoyed that return as well. Like some of the faces Mercy Johnson pulls, it reminds me a lot of Patience Nozoko's old this, especially in this movie, because she's playing that kind of very devious, wicked type of person. But yes, agreed. All right, Ada, please, Ada, please tell us some of the things you liked about Battle on Buka Street.
Sure. So I thought it was a funny movie. For the part that it was meant to be funny, which was good because that's what you're meant to do when they say that it's a comedy. And I thought so. I was a bit unsure before watching the movie because from the premise it looked like it might be a bit more a bit chaotic, and I had watched like Omagata before and it was just a lot going on, and I thought it would be something along those lines where it was just things happening upon things happening. Now that is what happened, but I still think that it had a structure and it had a storyline and we were able to follow it, and it had premise and motivations and things like that. So I think that made it quite an enjoyable watch, and it didn't just seem like it was just chaos. It was chaos that was contained within reason. I like that the wives, when they were younger, bore a striking a resemblance to the actors the wives when they were in the present. And the actors were actually good, especially when in some of the dramatic scenes they were quite believable. They almost made me shed a tear. But I'm a thug, so I didn't. But it was quite emotional at times, and I believed that performance. I like that it encompassed a lot of issues. It talked about things like domestic violence, I guess a little bit of empowering Mercy Johnson's character and kind of leaving and not staying for the sake of what people say. Family ties, revenge, a bit of sexual harassment, although that one is a bit, put an asterisk on that one. But it did breach, I guess, a lot of different things and societal issues that we care about, although obviously it didn't go into depth, and that's probably because it was trying to stay true to the comedy side of it. But yeah, I did like that they at least touched on them. I find some of the scenes quite funny. I did find Mercy Johnson funny here in a lot of scenes. Unlike Impossible, which wasn't very meant to be outwardly funny movie, which I did not laugh at all. This one was a bit more reserved comedy, and I found myself laughing a lot more about from Mercy Johnson's lines, and a lot of the scenes from the actors where they were kind of like fighting, and then they would tag team each other to fight someone else. For example, Mercy Johnson and her mom kind of like tag teaming against like her daughter, or when Mercy Johnson and Funke Akindele were fighting, and then one of the wives comes in, and they're all like, "Who is this one?" Yeah, I find that quite funny. It had good, I guess, comedic timing and things like that. I like the scenes with the father, the escaped, the guy that escaped from prison. I like the scenes where they were kind of bonding. He was kind of bonding with his children. The scenes were kind of easy. They were not. A lot of times, I think in Nigerian movies, scenes with parents can be a bit maybe stilted, a bit very. There's a clear line drawn between fathers and children. Kind of call and response almost, but in this movie, that scene was very touching, and you can see that they were really trying to build a rapport, and it was really sweet. And I actually also like the twist from comedy to drama. I like movies that do that to me, that I don't really know what to expect. Kind of like, I don't, I don't want to say it's like Parasite, but kind of like Parasite, what that did. Kind of like, a couple of other movies that I liked have done that, which is good because it takes you through a range of different emotions, whilst kind of staying true to the theme of the movie. So yeah, that's what I like. Thank you.
All right. Ada and I are going to fight again today. I already know. I see it coming. Welcome the fight. But thanks, Ada. I think it's Charles. Charles, please tell us some of the things you liked about Battle on Buka Street.
Okay, it was a very wonderful movie for me. I liked the casting and then the acting. Like it was so on point. Um, the characters, especially, even those that were meant to portray younger versions of like the younger version of Shola Shobowale, that is Bimbo Demoye. I've always felt that Bimbo can play like a younger version of Shola Shobowale, and then she did it very well. And Don Trisi Moanago, the person that played the younger version of Osofia, is someone that has kind of over the years, when he came into Nollywood, like he had this resemblance to Osofia, the way Osofia could talk. That is in Kemo right now, and he really got that part very well. Then I think apart from the established actors' performance, the characters that came out for me that I really enjoyed very well were the twins. Um, yeah, so I really liked their acting. They brought that for me, that comedy. They brought the chaos. That particular scene where Mercy Johnson was telling one of the twins, tell your father that he's a bastard and a nuisance, and she was like, "Mommy said I should tell you that." So it was. I really liked the comedy, and then the storyline was nice. The plot, it was going with a clear direction, and I think one of the one of the good things about when you know that you are seeing something solid, you are seeing a solid work of art is when you can actually feel something that the characters are meant to be feeling. And throughout watching the movie, there was always this thing of the tension and the conflict. Like you could find it boiling in your blood and all that. So that particular scene with that fight scene, Funke and Mercy Johnson, like I was wild. Like it was nice the way she took the stool and broke Mercy Johnson's head, the blood, everything. So I think it was very very wonderful. Then of course the story, the messages in the movie about the dangers of polygamy, and someone has already said domestic violence and domestic abuse and all stuffs like that. These are things that keep on, and even in our society now, people keep on saying that the white people shouldn't have introduced monogamy to us. So, but you still see like this movie trying to tell you that polygamy, if you if it's not properly managed, and most times it isn't well managed, you can see, the kind of chaos it can bring or it can cause in a family. Then the dialogue too was solid. Like when someone was being abused and all that, you could feel it. Initially, I wasn't so comfortable, especially with Mercy Johnson's character, when I had some of the things she tells her children and all that. A little thing, idiot, and she was abusing them seriously. But at the point, I believe that this was something that had to happen, because Mercy Johnson was someone that had already experienced so much pain, you know, coming from a dysfunctional home. Her father hadn't really shown her that love. Then she went into an abusive home, so an abusive marriage. So I kind of understood that, she was meant to be that bitter. She was meant to be that bitter. Then also the character arc and the character development in the movie was wonderful. Tinamba's character, coming as this troublesome second wife and all that, and with age she was growing old, and then wisdom was coming in, and she was like, these are the things I messed up earlier, and she needed that redemption, even if she couldn't get it, to pass it to her daughter. I really loved that side of the movie. So yeah, it was a solid movie for me. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Charles. Yeah, I'm with people. With Mercy Johnson is somebody who is, and she's done in a couple of movies, who very good at doing this, carrying a lot of pain behind her eyes and some jokes kind of thing. She's very good at that. I think from a I think this movie doesn't really criticize polygamy. I'm not sure it's doing that. But we could probably get to that in a different parts of the discussion. But thanks a lot, Charles, for contribution. Arinze, please tell us some of the things you liked about Battle on Buka Street.
Okay, hello everyone. I really enjoyed the movie. I think from the beginning of it, 10 minutes into the oh sorry, 2 minutes, so immediately as I started it, the voiceover was really interesting from the beginning, from the onset. It set the tone of what the movie was going to be like. There was going to be a lot of drama, there was going to be the usual theatrics, but it established the plot sort of, and then it went on to like show character, the way the characters were. And I think that's what really makes the movie stand out, because it's a movie that is character driven. The inherited rivalry of Ezine and Yejide's mother was, set the pace of how everything would later unfold to be something that the children would take on. And, the children after Yejide and Awile would also be expected to take on, although they didn't. But then it was very interesting to see that circle. So my favorite scene also was kind of that there was a scene where Mercy Johnson was having an argument with Awile was having an argument with her mother, Izine, and then the daughter was there, and then the other the twins were also, at the other side. I kind of like how they were set in a kind of circle. It was kind of very symbolic for me, the way the mother would shout at the Awele, and then Awele would shout at the daughter, and then the daughter would pour it onto the twins, and it just kept going like that. And it was very interesting to see. I replayed that part up to like 5 times or so, because it was very, very nice. It was deep. So I love that about the movie, that the characters were developed, where they had depth. They You can kind of see why they are doing what they are doing. So there's a solid reason for everything that they do. Like, you can decide to side with Mercy Johnson, the pain that she carries on, Awile, the pain that she carries on from her failed marriage, and the abuse that went on there, and then coming to see how she's tried in her own mind, she's justified because she's helping her children. And then you see that everybody have their reasons, self-justification for the things that they are doing. And it's just very, the characters have depth, and then it keeps going until towards the end, when I don't know what they did, but we'll get onto that. But I just love how the characters were developed. The acting, of course, was well done. They were stars. The movie was star-studded, so the acting was good. I don't think I found anything wrong with the acting on anybody's part. Yeah, but the story went on, and it was funny. It was genuinely funny. I don't think there was ever a scene in that movie where I didn't laugh, like barely laugh, not even choke, like real laugh at things that were happening there, because like it wasn't a movie that you laughed at. It was a movie that you laugh with, because you know that it's supposed to be this way. It's intended to make you laugh this way. So it wasn't like something that you see and just be like, what are these people even doing? It's something that you say, well, I understand what they are doing. So like, yeah, so you kind of like understand the movie, and you root for whichever character you want to root for, or just see the general chaos that is happening entirely. I felt it was that was the strength of the movie, how character driven it was. And the fact that whatever pace they set, whatever intentions they had, was expectations they had for the movie, or why making the movie, was met. The humor was well done, the characters were well developed, aside, the plot structure towards the end, or in the end, and all that. But then it was like there was a lot that was going on, but you could still follow each and everybody's story. If you were to single every character, and write like a deep analysis on them, you would find so much to unpack there, because they're like, really, there's really like a lot going on there, and it was really interesting to watch and reflect upon. So yeah, I enjoyed the movie Battle on Buka Street.
All right. Thanks, Arinze. SMO Kaduna, please tell us some of the things you liked about Battle on Buka Street.
Okay, hello everyone. So, first of all, I'd say I was kind of disappointed with the movie, but that's, by the way, I liked a few things. Now, first thing I noticed is it's a Nigerian film. What I mean, it's Nigerian to the core. You don't get lost at any moment that this is what they want Nigerians to watch. If you're a Nigerian that loves to watch Nigerian films in cinemas, you definitely want to watch this. And then they did everything possible to make sure that people want to watch it in the cinemas for a Nigerian film that it is, and it's not a bad thing. I mean, like, for the casting, I really liked the casting for each and every person that played, both the main characters and the supporting characters. At the same time, it was nice to see. And then I think it was good that there was a rivalry, and then the people they picked to be rivals was what people were going to love to watch. I mean, Mercy Johnson and Funke Akindele, they're like people that a lot of people want to watch in the cinemas. So it was just like the right fit. So I think I like that for the film. And the supporting characters, especially the children, yes, I loved most of their acting. It was like they were just doing their thing. It flowed all through. I don't think there was anytime the children felt so woody in their conversations, like you expect from most Nollywood films, their conversations were flowing, especially for the twins. It was like they were just made for it. So I liked their own casting. And then for, like I earlier said, Mr. Johnson, I like Mr. Johnson, even though some of her facial expressions were kind of exaggerated. But I liked her acting when it was not comedy. Yeah, when she was sad, when she was bitter. Yeah, I kind of liked her acting in those scenes. Same thing with Funke Akindele. To be honest, in fact, I think the movie would have thrived if it wasn't comedy, because there was a lot of soul put into the acting when it was not comedy. We could see that when Tinamba was on the sick bed about to die, it was really, really touching. So I kind of liked those parts of the movie. And then another thing I liked about the movie is the nostalgic feel. If you go to Chief Maduka's house, I don't know, but for me, it reminded me a lot of my grandparents' house. The low center table, the kind of place they were using to serve them food. I don't know, the car, it just reminded me a lot of my grandparents' place. So it was like, okay, yeah, this is quite nostalgic. And then if something is nostalgic, I mean, it's going to give you the vibe. And then also, from somebody that is from the north, I liked the details in the Hausa guy's room. That's Sunny Danger. I like the details in his room. When you see the room, even without his character being in the room, you know that this is a Muslim's room, this is a Northerner's room. So I like the attention to details when it came to the sets of this movie. So I think these are like some of the things I kind of like, if I'm not missing anything. Yeah, okay, then Femi Jacobs, I like him. He's a thorough actor, so I liked how he played the role. And I think it's something that I haven't seen him play before. So it was refreshing to see him play that kind of role. So yeah. And lastly, Nkema was stellar. Maybe because I've just watched him from Obaram and then coming to watch him in Battle on Buka Street. So it was just heartwarming at the same time. Yeah, so I think these are the few things I liked about Battle on Buka Street.
All right, thank you. Just to say, if you do want to send a comment, you can just comment underneath the space, and we'll read it out. Anything you liked. All right, Mr. C, what are the things you liked about this film?
So, Battle of Booker Street. Sorry, my brain's a bit frozen. So you know how I've been complaining about narrations endlessly? I think I enjoyed Funke's narration. It made me laugh. We're still not good at narrations, but I enjoyed Funke's narration. It made me laugh. Then I liked the feel of Booker Street. It seemed like it had that kind of feel, and I liked that. I thought the twins were funny sometimes. I enjoyed Kim. I can't remember the line. There was a line he did. There was a joke he made, and I looked at it. I was like, "That's old Kim. That's classic Kim." And like he does it with a straight face, right? Like he's not laughing. He's not, he's not shouting. He's not emphasizing. He's just throwing that line, and that's just like seems like a normal thing you'd say, like when you're being funny. What else? So yeah, I liked that. What else did I like? So I liked. I think someone has said like the casting. I think Bimbo to Shola Shobowale was good casting. Tinamba's younger wife, maybe? I'm not sure. That didn't stand out to me. But Bimbo to Shola stood out to me. So I liked that. I kind of enjoyed their fighting. The actual physical fighting and someone biting someone in the tit. That was good. It's like, I don't see why not. If you're fighting, you might as well, right? So I did quite enjoy Battle on Booker Street for a bit. I'm not above that kind of comedy for most times. Sometimes I'm not above that kind of comedy, so I did enjoy quite a bit of it. I think, is it Mashoud? When he wasn't being too broody, like some of his broody lines just cracked me up, but. When he wasn't trying to be super dramatic, I liked him as well. And the girl that played Ifunaya, I think she was all right as well. Mercy's hilarious. I think Mercy delivered like a bunch of things. Like, Mercy, when she was talking about how when she was recollecting, when she after the flashback, right, of when I was one, so that you slap mommy, that bit, right, and she had a hand on her head just crying, and like, you know, that was something. And it's just, yeah, that scene she did quite well dealing with that. Mercy was good. I enjoyed Mercy. What else did I like about Battle on Booker Street? I like the premise. Yeah, I like the because like I think somebody mentioned that it does seem it's quite Nigerian thing. Like it does seem quite grounded in Nigerianness. Like if you're not from a polygamous family, you know somebody who's in a polygamous family, or your parents were from a polygamous family. So like that whole, you know, polygamy and the rivalry that comes with it is quite grounded in Nigerian reality. Even I think everyone forgot there was a third wife at some point, so he mentioned the third wife again. I think it, you know, they could have gone the route of everybody fighting, but you know, the third wife just chilling, doing her own thing while these two were, you know, having their own thing going. I thought that was fine. I liked that. It's it's more grounded. Not every wife is fighting. Some are chilling. Then what else was it I was going to say about being quite grounded? Yes, the idea of breaking the loop of, you know, just harmful, shitty rhetoric that goes from generation to generation to generation. It's Mercy comes from, you know, not good home. She gets into this abusive marriage. And so she comes from a bad example of a marriage, goes into a bad one, manages to leave, right? But she's not broken all of her shitty loops, right? She's broken the marriage loop, but she's continuing some stupid, harmful rivalry that makes no sense. You know, she's very hard on the children. She has this bit where when she injured herself, right? When she got burnt, when she went to the mountain and came back, and her neighbor was cleaning her up, and she was like, if I catch what's her face on what's her face, and it's like, but why? What have they done? It's like, why are they not here? Like, she's just hard on them and they haven't done anything. They're just not home. So yeah, I like the idea of the loops that you know, being the one to break the loop, break the cycle. Thank you. It's a cycle, being the one to break the cycle, or trying to break the cycle, or being caught up in this and breaking the cycle. I think that's kind of grounded. So yeah, I liked that premise. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. I would add, in addition to sort of the breaking the cycle, I think more importantly is the showing of the system of passing down people's biases and what's it called? What's the other word? Biases, sort of phobias, hate, the passing down of hate and bias. And one of the best lines, I think, to emphasize that is like, okay, they keep on calling each other enemies, and yeah, the other people who, you know, sometimes they refer to the other wife or the other people as the enemy. And I think the two people challenge him, like, wait, why are they your enemy? And it's like they don't know any better, because that's just how it is. There is also the part where Mercy Johnson is like, from now on, like, those people are what, and you know, the girls are like, you know, they're the enemies. And she's like, why? Because mommy said so. It's just, don't need a reason, don't need logic. It's just, that's what you told me. And I just like the showcase of that kind of passing the pattern of hatred and biases towards someone else. So, like, it doesn't have to be just for family. A lot of times hate is taught, and yeah, and this was a good showcase of that. All right, other things that I liked, we often don't speak about chemistry in this way, but I liked Funke and Mercy's chemistry. They were so comfortable in each other's spaces. There's a real chaotic energy that both of them had that I just found very fun. Like, it's something I haven't seen on screen in some time. And I think for good reasons, because number one, usually if you're pitting, I think we understandably try to shy away from women on women. I'm sort of like content. Do we? I think so.
Mhm.
I'm not sure. I'm not even sure that's correct. But we certainly haven't seen it like this. Because like you can't. It's probably difficult to do with man and women. But like the way Mercy Johnson would woos Funke, and that's real life. I can tell, and that's part of what makes me laugh. I think especially towards the end when they had that part where that is touching, where Messi has understood that she wants to defend Funke. Sorry, I've forgotten all these characters' names. I'm just referring to the actors. But that point where she was like trying to just make up an excuse for why they don't need to, why she wasn't right about saying she saw one of the criminals that escaped. She just like distract with hitting Funke, and Funke will hit her back. it was just so much fun to see, and like that's kind of Mercy Johnson's thing. And I think Mercy Johnson is very good at forcing people into a state where they kind of pull out a performance. I mean this in a way where if you know that Mercy Johnson can strike you at any point, when she's looking at you intensely, you actually do feel afraid for you. Like, this might actually be the time when she slaps you. And there's an actual, real, genuine fear that you can see on people's faces sometimes. I'm thinking about her man friend that she made. There were times where you could see on his face that, like, yeah, as much as he likes this babe, like, yeah, he has to be worried about this fiery temper that she has. So, yeah, what else did production people have talked about, a couple people mentioned production, and watching some of the BTS videos that for marketing, where you see them build the whole Buka Street. That's actually it's nice to see. I also think this movie knows exactly what it is. Exactly what it is. I think Anikon hinted at this, but it is very much old Nollywood in a lot of its structure. And people forget that, we used to always see something interesting. There used to be a thing happening in old Nollywood. Oh, Andy wants to meet a friend who is doing rituals. Oh, then he introduced him to babes. Oh, and then we're going to go to his cult people. He's going to commit suicide, and his new wife is going to just be looking at him. It's just like weird things that you wouldn't see in any other movie. But yeah, so I liked that, and the productions, they really spent a lot in the production. I liked when they were fighting and they threw like food on each other. They didn't spared no bounds. That fight for me was the more interesting one. Was like where they actually start. I know, like, wasting food, it's probably not. It's a difficult thing to do in Nigeria, but I just enjoyed what feels like something you don't see in filmmaking anymore. But yeah, so that's sort of the general things. Like some of the things I also agree with that people mentioned. I thought acting generally was solid. Everybody knows now I'm a huge fan of Mercy Johnson. Some of you will eventually convert to this because, like, I don't think you can ignore this talent for that long. If you don't like her here, you like her in a future thing because the woman has talent. I just think that. But okay, that's me for the good. I'm going to pivot into the bad. But before that, let me just read rookies. Ricky's comments. I really enjoyed every part of the movie. I think I liked the other side of Funke Akindele that was getting tired of the fights, but she could say, but she um, couldn't say it out. Then when Mercy Johnson wanted her mom to assist her with the cooking, and the mother was too sick, that's quite relatable. When I have to add that I enjoyed watching like the hate almost that Bessie Johnson, and that's part of this things, like the hate Bessie Johnson had for like the other family, the Funke's people, was so blind that like almost she didn't. It was so much she didn't even think about her mother being sick. She just wanted to win so much. She was blinded. She didn't spend a lot of time with her mother. She wasn't thinking about other things. She just wanted to win. Anyway, but yeah. And Ricky says, when the black soap dropped on the mountain climb, I was expecting Funke Akindele to run mad like a typical Nollywood movie. I thought actually there were going to be huge consequences, but alas. Anyway, but let's pivot into the things that we didn't like. I think it's Elizabeth. Elizabeth, do you want to tell us some of the things you do not like about Back in History?
Why is it Elizabeth?
Well, Vanessa is not here.
Okay, no,
You
I'll
keep
go.
forgetting me again.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I think I can't remember. Okay, right. Sorry. I think it's supposed to be you.
Okay, you can go.
It's supposed to be Anka, sorry.
It's okay. I keep on forgiving you and you keep on forgetting me. It's okay. It's an abusive relationship. It's okay.
It's a match made in heaven.
Good. I don't know why I said anything because I can't remember what I dislike. Okay. Well, first thing, I am of two minds about this, right? I love the visual of climbing up the mountain and everything. And I think it's kind of smart the way they said spiritual. And then you get to Mercy Justice portion, and then the mother is telling her to go to church. And then she changes it to like, okay, church but prophets. But the prophecy type of church. And it's just I thought there was just so much ingenious in it. But at the same time, I didn't necessarily want them to have like spiritual. You should go into like magical spiritual shop. But when nothing happened to Spring Care, when she dropped that thing, I was like, in the writing, they probably lost that plot line, or maybe they realized that they should probably not go anywhere with that. And it's a good decision, but at the same time, I'm just like, well, you kind of set me up for something. Like, but that's not really bad for me as much. The way it ended, it is okay, but at the same time, it is kind of like, so what happens to that person's story? But again, it is okay. Like I can accept it and I'm good with it and I'm happy and I can go with it. But it does seem it's a little bit abrupt. But if I'm asking for it, I understand that if I'm asking for it, I will have to spend maybe another 30 minutes, an hour in the chair. And I didn't mind, like, the movie was good, but no matter how good a movie is, I start to notice when it's going to 3 hours. Because my body will start being like, you have been sitting down in one position for a very long time. But that's just one of that bad. I wouldn't like the production is okay. It's good. It's okay. There's nothing really bad to something that takes you out of it. Like some of the things that I think I'm going to say is an issue is not really necessarily like this movie is not necessarily too flawed. Like it is something that I might hope that it should do, but I'm okay with what I got. Maybe they should have done it. They should have gone a little bit deeper into some of the things that they touched on. But I felt like that might if it will change the movie. I don't know. Like this it's not that I'm not saying that this movie is without flaws. It does have its flaws, but I think for what it is and for what it was, it's okay. Most of the flaws is just kind of like things that you're okay with. Yes, was there some janky like dialogue once in a while? Like the moody guy. The moody guy was really moody. The moody teenager is not a teenager anymore. The moody young man really had very moody young man lines sometimes. But hey, it was okay. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't very, very bad where you're like, oh my gosh, will you go sit down? You know? So hey, I'm good. There's not too much.
All right. Okay, thanks, Ayinka. All right, we have to come back to you, Elizabeth.
Okay, so I mean, after hearing Noinko, I'm like, hey, Abi, did I watch another movie? So for me, this movie is not good. It's not good. I'm sorry. And one of my major problems with this movie is structure. This movie is trying to be a Fuji House of Commotion, but with identity crisis. What is this movie? Tried to be a comedy in the first act, honestly, and I almost bought it. Like even though the constant bickering was not becoming tedious and monotonous, right? But I was buying the comedy because there were times that I would let out a laugh or two. But the question on my mind throughout was, as we were jumping from one event to another event, with nary a care for proper setup or appropriate sequencing. Like for me, it hardly had any form of stakes. I didn't see the stakes. It started to look like a series of unfortunate events. I'm sorry, at some point. There was a part where Mercy Johnson was speaking to her neighbor and she said, do you know how many demons I have fought? I'm like, no, we don't. You know why? Because the writing just wants to rely majorly on exposition and didactic speech because they're always trying to tell you, there's trying to teach a lesson with everything that comes out of their mouth. Everybody's trying to tell us a story of the plot or something that is going to affect the plot. I think one part for me was in the beginning, after they have showed, of course, all the how the rivalry started, and we see Ejide and her son, and no, Yejide's son was in the room and he was crying. His sister was there, and Yejide comes in and he goes, "Oh, my dad is a murderer. Oh yeah, I wanted to sing my dream." Like we didn't know all of these things, and we just bam enter the room and he has told us half of this plot already. I'm like, okay, you're a singer, you went to a band, you chased away, your dad is a murderer. Check. Thank you for filling the gap. As in all of the gap just filled like that in that speech. And this movie made use of that like throughout. And for me, I think that this would have been like a good theater play if it was staged because of how didactic in nature it is. Like every other second, somebody's trying to teach something. Like this movie is trying to touch on, address rivalry and what people do to others. We see it with Yejide and Awele with their moms. We see it with Ademide and Fred. We see it with Karim and his rival. Even Karim had a rival. Like while they were talking, while Awele was talking to Karim, Hito was like, "What about me? I had the biggest farm, and my rival also burnt." I'm like, "Ewe, what are we doing? Why is this okay?" I don't mind it. If it was PSA, fine. If I was watching this on stage, cool. I'm good with it. But this movie was just doing a lot of talking. And then for me, the final act almost does not belong to this movie. The final act of, Awele meeting Yejide and Lashili and the children at the shack and how they came out, fought as one and then diverted the like just sent those guys away. It felt like another part of another film to me because again, maybe sequencing all up to that part because it wasn't cohesive enough. I didn't know. I was just like going with the flow. Whatever you people are doing, let's just know because at first they're fighting so much, they played so much prank, the prank got bad. Oh, now you have to go spiritual. They went spiritual at the same time, and then we saw one burnt the leg. The other one didn't know what happened because next thing, prisoners have escaped. Now her husband is in the house again. Setting up of things like we didn't know any of this thing about Lashing. Again, we don't like you. The review could have been done the time they did it, but at least to a certain extent, it's not like we need to still actually go to prison, no, or anything because the first time when Yejide was doing the narration, she was like, "And my husband is none of your business." So I go, "Oh, okay, maybe there's no husband." Until the son started crying, I'm like, "Oh, my father is a murderer." I'm like, "Oh, look, where did that come from?" Anyways, but I felt like that final act just did not belong there, and it was the only part I could stomach. I laughed, I liked it, I enjoyed the solidarity between both sisters. but there's hardly any form of redemption for people who, I mean, for both of them, for them to bury the hatchets of this their long, long rivalry. I mean, these people used an entire first act to prank each other and beat each other to pulp, right? Or whatever it is that they had going on. And we had that 10 seconds of, oh, yeah, I'm going to help you. And we don't even know if they buried the hatchet. We just know that one helped the other, and that was it. And I don't know, man. I really did not know how that happened. Like, I'm not seeing the character development. I'm seeing a lot of the characterization. I really so bitter. Yejide so bitter too. She cannot cook, but her husband is in prison, whatever. I don't know. Like, if this movie could have been so much more. Don't get me wrong. The two sisters with their own personal demons, right? They have this rivalry going on, and there's a way to intertwine these their personal whatever problem that they're dealing with in a way that could show some form of character development. We didn't see character development. It was just Yejide felt bad for how the prank went. Prank on Awele went and goes, "Oh, I don't want to fight again." And Awele's own did not even happen until the end, and it wasn't like some form of character development either. And then, like, but when did their come to Jesus moment happen as a family? Because we saw Nkemo speak to them. Even as at then, they had not finished. They were even adamant. They wanted to continue fighting. Nobody in this movie had some sort of come to Jesus moment. And we also saw that with Awele's mom. Awele's mom decided that she regrets the fighting because she's sick. I don't know, man. When did it happen? Oh, let's stop fighting now. I mean, thankfully, the children did not have all of that fighting. Again, their story too had a lot of telling, and I think it's a Nigerian writing problem where we use exposition and we are just explaining the plot. And things are happening in quick succession, like things are happening. You've seen those things happening, but you need to also hear the explanation of these things happening right in the scenes as it's happening. Somebody's telling you about it. Okay, so this is how the plot goes. I'm like, yeah, that's how the plot goes. So I don't marry a character development for these women. I mean, beyond, oh, please don't implicate my husband. We are in love, whatever. The problem for me is hugely hinged on structuring and sequencing, and I thought it was awfully written. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Elizabeth. I would say like when I said this film is a lot like old Nollywood, I mean that in a lot of the good things and sort of if you want to call them bad habits, I don't know because like obviously Nollywood came from stage plays, so I mean I don't necessarily disagree with that, but with that comparison, it's just I know there's some people who that's actually kind of exactly what they want to see. But no, I'm with you, especially on some of the exposition, and some of the some people's arcs being questionable. Okay, I think Otas.
Hi. All right. Elizabeth covered a lot of ground, so I will not be too repetitive, which is great. What saves this movie, even a little bit for me, is that I had just seen another movie I will not name, um, right beforehand, and so in contrast, this was a welcome, but it left me with more questions than understanding, I guess. So, I mean, my problem starts from the very beginning. Like, I had a hard time suspending belief that Bimbo could just randomly request a C-section same day in a rural hospital, and the doctor was just like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And honestly, that's just where my first problem starts from. But I guess my problem is generally that I think too much. And so, like, I just had a lot of questions. I didn't understand why Meshi's character was so cruel to her children. I don't buy the trauma about. I don't think that she suffers very much more than anybody else in the cast. And she was just generally uncouth, especially in comparison to really the entire family. Even Shola's character isn't like that. Like, she just was very out of place, I thought, with her entire family in character. I thought the twins were very, very annoying. I don't think that they added anything to the movie, and I didn't enjoy the comedy they were supposed to add. I thought the movie would have continued the exact same way without them in it. It just didn't work for me. I didn't understand why they were battling in the first place. Like, they sold vastly different foods. Like, they weren't even in competition for the same market. It was too long. The third act was very disjointed. And I did not enjoy Femi Jacobs' performance in this. That's it.
Oh, we both had a like for Femi and a dislike for Femi Jacobs' performance. Okay, all right. Thanks for task. Some comments just coming about what they didn't like. Everyone says the movie had a lot of things happening in the story. It was giving me a mini. Let me jot down all the things happening. I don't hate it though, but they shouted a lot. I was just saying small. I also forgot the comedy. I guess they also didn't like the comedy. Let me see what else. Inka says there's a lot of expression. Yes, there is a lot of exposition, but there was a lot of other stories happening on screen too, so that takes your attention. Okay, I think I'm just reading some things. All right. Who is? I think it's Ahmad Juju. I think it's you.
Okay. What I do not like about this movie? I think I have issues with the writing. I have issues with the writing of the movie because a lot of things kept popping up. Like they were using a lot of subplots that they could have integrated into the story very well, but they were using them to push empathy. Like, they wanted us to empathize with the characters, so they were using these subplots not very well. So I understand what someone said that. So Funke's husband and subplot. At the point, I feel like okay. Okay, was this like push make us to empathize with Funke or what? Do you understand? Like they just wanted us not to make us feel like this lady is a bad person. So let us have something to empathize with her. And the Funke's son and Messi's daughter, the subplot, maybe it was rushed or I don't know, maybe it was not needed. I don't know. It was not properly done. And I don't think we need that actually. I don't think they could have just traveled and leave, or I don't know. Maybe they could have just remained in Ottawa, but the subplot was not done well. And the cockroach scene, I didn't like how they panned that out. I think the actors were asking who put cockroach in my food. So I think they could have done better without scene. And then I kind of feel like, how would your mother be able to cook and you would not be able to cook? Like it's not even compulsory you make delicious meals, but you should be able to do something. Like you're not totally poor like that. Like that scene, I felt kind of weird. Like, wow, how is that possible? Like I know I'm not a good cook, but not like was like I can't do anything and people will not eat my food. I felt that was an exaggeration. Maybe it's because it's a comedy, I don't know, but they kind of exaggerated that part. And Messi was kind of frustrated throughout this movie. Like maybe I'm the only one who felt that she was frustrated throughout this movie, and I'm like, why can't this give this one a break? Like, can she be happy for once? She was frustrated from start to end, and it made me feel like maybe they wanted us to root for Funke and make her look like the villain, or I don't know. I just don't know what they were trying to do with that. But at some point, I feel like no, they should just give this lady one happy moment. But she was frustrated from start to the end. So about hey, what happened to the sons? Because I could see some boys when they were taking the family portrait at the start of the movie. What happened to them? I think the ladies were kind of like they didn't like they were fighting. I think I've seen guys in polygamous family. They are kind of like united. They don't really fight like the women. So what happened to them? Why can't they interfere in the whole drama? So I don't know. And I kind of feel some way about the voiceover at the start of the movie. I didn't really. I think it didn't work for me. I don't know for anyone else, but because at some point I was like, why did they stop this voiceover? What happened? So I didn't enjoy the voiceover. I think it would have without the voiceover. So the fight scene, the market fight scene, I don't think people would watch two people, fighting and using their merchandise or their goods to fight. It doesn't happen. I've sold things for my mom in the market. My mom are the ones that shop in the market. So it doesn't happen like that. People don't even when you're fighting, people will stop you from fighting. So I don't know why they were looking at them, them to fight. I don't know. Maybe it's because of comedy. Could be an exaggeration. So about the CS, the Bimbo's character optioning for a CS, like when did people start optioning for CS? If CS was not even a common thing, if the like that era. So I'm kind of like, okay, what's going on here? But I think because of the comedy, maybe it's exaggeration. So I think those are the good things that I had. Choose to do.
All right, thanks, Ahmad. Let me see whether we got any more. Zainab says nothing seemed resolved. The ending made it seem like the entire movie was about Funke's husband all along. All right. Send in your comments if you want. I have the discussion in the comments if you want. Who do we have next? Ada, please tell us some of the things you do not like about Batman Buka Street.
Thank you. Okay, so one of the first thing I did not like was actually Mercy Johnson's Igbo. I felt like there was a lot of conversation in Yoruba within the other side of the family, and I felt like the Igbo side was kind of lacking, and it was more like an English mixed with I beg sheba well every once in a while, and then mixing Igbo in there. I would have liked that to be a lot stronger. I'm not sure if maybe it wasn't, maybe the actors are not as fluent, but I just would have liked to feel that a bit more. Yeah. Yeah, as mentioned, I don't know why she hates her children so much, or I feel like she hates her children so much. I don't know if it's meant to contribute to the humor of the story, or if it's just as a result of the way that she was brought up, or the kind of life she was living with the husband and everything like that. But I felt like he was too much at a certain point, and yeah, it was just it felt at times that she had even more contempt for her children and for her rival, the way that she spoke to them. She didn't even speak to Funke like that, so that was very weird, I think. Also, I don't know how old the children are supposed to be. I can't tell. I found them funny in some instances, not haha funny. They had funny moments, but I'm not sure if they were age appropriate. I think they were acting a bit more younger than they were meant to be. So at time I was like, what were you doing? With the constant lollipops and the hairstyles. I'm pretty sure they're not like 8, so I don't know. That's just, I guess it added to the humor, but I just felt that it was a bit weird at times. I think it could have still worked without that. Some scenes were just unnecessary. The whole spiritual battle that took like, I don't know, like 10 minutes, and it was for what reason? And it didn't have any consequence anyway. Yeah, Funke dropped the soap, and what happened after that. There was no repercussion to it. It didn't add to the plot. It didn't take away from the plot. There was no repercussion. Nothing followed on from that. It didn't affect the other person. It didn't affect them. I guess Mercy burnt her leg, but it was just unnecessary. I feel like a few scenes in there could have been cut short, because another dislike or is that I think the movie is too long. I was chopping onions and chopping carrots and chopping celery and cooking meat and doing all that stuff. And while I finished, the movie was still going. And I don't think, and it wasn't even towards the end, it was still in the middle of them fighting. And I think they focused a lot, which is, yeah, I guess that was the comedy part of it. But I think it could have been a little bit more concise, especially with the unnecessary scene, for example, like the spiritual battle thing that I mentioned. The change of heart from Mercy towards the end was unexplained. It didn't work from the characterization, from what we were, I guess, told of her. If he had come from Funke, I think it would have made a bit more sense. We kind of see her, she kind of has a little bit of a softer heart. You can tell sometimes her heart's not in it, you know, and she may be, you know, yeah, I could believe that she may want to, you know, put an end to it or like forgive her and be like, you know what, whatever. But from Mercy's side, there was no point at all in the movie where she showed a little bit of empathy or willingness to stop or to not take it too far. She was even complaining while her mother was literally on her deathbed, to the extent that she didn't even pay as much attention to that. So nothing in the way that they've presented us this character showed that she would have any sort of mercy, especially as they didn't explain the situation to her. They didn't say, hey, this is what happened. You know, that's why he's actually innocent, blah, blah, blah. So what would be the reason for her to show mercy for, you know, especially if this would have been a big win for her and this whole rivalry thing. Nothing about what they've told us so far makes us believe that this is something that Mercy's character would do. And also the ending was a bit abrupt. Even if they wanted to leave it as a cliffhanger that, you know, the guy gets away and that's it, that's fine. But the theme throughout the movie was the rivalry, and that wasn't resolved. And that's the thing that needed to be resolved, not, you know, the guy escaping. As I said before, I don't mind the twist of, you know, it starts as comedy, finishes as drama. That's fine, absolutely fine. But the main theme running throughout the movie is these guys are having a rivalry. They're going at each other. It's been, you know, passed from generation to generation. How is this resolved? One scene where Mercy kind of gives them mercy, pun intended. It's not. It doesn't give us enough. We need to have a resolution, even if it's we still hate each other, but you know what, I'm just gonna let your husband have a pass or whatever. We need, as an audience, to have a resolution for that. And then, you know, if you want to, you know, just let the husband go, whatever, we can. I feel like that would have been a kind of cliffhanger we can deal with. But the thing that you've spent 2 hours and almost a half of the movie trying to tell us, and then nothing, we don't know how it resolves, how it ends, how it carries on. Yeah, that was a bit of a big oversight, I think. Yeah, that's it from me. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Ada. And I think next we have Ezema of Kaduna. And then I'll rinse it.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right, good. So, first of all, I would say the movie was very, very underwhelming for me. I expected a whole lot from the trailer, from the story I was getting. I was expecting a lot. And then firstly, I would say the title. The title was also not it, but that's by the way. And then the first thing, my problem with this film is the voiceover. I don't know. It felt like it was Funke Akindele that was giving a voiceover and not really, that's the narration or narrative or whatever, and not really Yejide. If it just felt like Funke Akindele with a touch of Jennifer. I don't know. It just didn't feel like the character. It just felt like it was one of her voiceovers from my Instagram videos or something. It just didn't give me. And then first thing she said was, "Welcome to Buka Street, where you find every food in Nigeria." And I was peeping, looking for a northern food, and I didn't see any. And I was like, okay, we have been aired. So the northern Nigeria is not Nigeria. Because if you see every food in Nigeria, in the over 2 hour of this movie, I didn't see any northern food in the Buka streets. And I'm like, okay, that is fine. So I feel like that was missed. I mean, I am all for inclusion and all of that. So it would have been very, very nice to see a northern food being portrayed and all of that. Yeah. So, and thirdly, the movie was too long. It was too long. There were too many back and forth that I felt like would have done better with. Like, if you want these people to fight and fight, you can just, I feel like they would have picked three things and then just build so much on them, hold us to those things, or get us, I don't know, just get us with those few things rather than doing so many things at the same time. And then you put us in a very, very high place. The peak of the movie was so high. And then only for the ending to be just so flat. It wasn't enough. I feel like if you're going to give us so much tension, so much drama, whatever is going to be the resolution, whatever is going to bring this whole drama to an end, should be something that will actually move us. Like I said, I think the last speaker said it. I don't think the issue or the rivalry has been settled. It just felt like she just helped TGD, and that was the end of the film. And we know that this movie was about the rivalry. Everybody was expecting them to settle. And then let's assume, fine, okay, they settled. What happened to one of the genesis of this rivalry? Asake, nothing was said about her. Was she okay with it? Or she has just, I mean, because we know that when it has to do with the rivalry, Asake is like a major force. And then we just saw that after Awele and Yejide did the whole drama with the Kinzo boys or whatever their name is, that was the end of it. I felt like it was not open-ended. So I don't know what they did, because that is clearly not an open ending. Or we'll say we're expecting a sequel. That was not open ending. So if that was the end, if you can keep people in the cinemas for 2 hours plus, 5 minutes is not too long to add to help us end it properly. That's what I think. So it was just not enough. The ending was just too, I don't know, just not giving me what I expected. I think that's, and then I don't know, I just noticed there was something wrong with all of the open spaces. It was like they didn't know how to film open lands. I don't know, it was just flat. It was just weird to look. I don't know what was wrong with it, but it was just somehow for me. All the open lands, Funke on the hill, them at the abandoned farmland. It was too, I don't know the word to use, but yeah, that's it. And like I said earlier, when I was mentioning the things I liked, I said I didn't like Mr. Johnson's exaggerated expressions. I love Mr. Johnson a lot. Like, I'm a very, very big fan. I love her acting. But on this one, it felt like she was doing too much with the facial expressions. Like, Mr. Johnson doesn't have to do much. Her face alone is I don't know. She has a face card that she doesn't have to even do a lot. But it was like she was trying so hard with the facial expressions when she wanted to, especially when she was trying to be mischievous. When she was trying to scold her children, the facial expressions were too exaggerated. I feel like, nah, he did not give me what I was expecting. And I'll start rambling right now. Yeah, that's basically it.
All right. Thanks, Isam of Kaduna. You guys should check out his podcast, Nollywood Band's podcast. He gives his own discussions there solo. But yes, thanks for contribution. Arinze, please tell us some of the things you did not like about Battle on Buka Street.
Okay, thank you. I think what I didn't like was, as everyone has emphasized, is the ending. I questioned the verisimilitude of having a lifelong rivalry, like from the beginning, before you were born, just resolved in that single instance. Like it felt too rushed, and whatever what should I call it now? Whatever points at which they like, or instances they kept in place, I don't know what to call them, or plot points that they kept in place to like make it seem like a good landing wasn't very solid. It was just everything seemed scattered. It was like that scene where Funke and Akindele's character and Mercy Johnson were trying to like come up with something. I felt like that was what was happening in the writers' room. They were all speedballing, just trying to like, what are we going to do towards this end? And it's just like very symbolic to what was happening in that movie. They didn't know how to like gather everything towards the end and then, you know, make a good resolution. But then I worry that if you emphasize too much about the ending of this movie, Nollywood can just be like, okay, you know what, we're going to have Battle on Buka Street too, and then we just have to like, you know, have another you know, there's one daddy movie like that. Yeah. So I don't know. I felt like that ending was rushed, and because I loved the movie so much, if it was over 10, I would give it like an 8 or a 9. So an 8 to be fair. I want to make a quick defense of like the comedy in it,
All right,
because I found it.
Arinze, we'll come to
Yeah.
that. We have a
Okay.
special section for that. Don't worry. We just finished, but yeah, we have a pushback section. Or we'll come to
Nice,
that definitely.
nice. All right, so let me just round off quickly with
Go ahead.
what I didn't like. So I didn't like that, and you know, basically I didn't like the ending. It was rushed. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Arinze. I really appreciate your comments. I think that's everybody on the group. The Silver, do you have both good or bad to say? I know you weren't here for the good section. Do you want to do pushback, the Silver? If the Silver, the Silver has gone quiet. All right, okay. Mrs. C, do you want to say some of the things you didn't? Silva, do you have words to offer us? Okay. All right. Mrs. C, do you want to say some of the things you didn't like?
Yeah, so I think all my problems have been kind of talked about, to be honest. But yeah, and this is me fighting you on saying it knew exactly what it was. And with Mo, it didn't. The kind of comedy it was doing at the beginning didn't tie up with where we ended up in terms of the drama. It was giving more Tom and Jerry at the beginning, and then we moved into if Bill Street could talk. Obviously nothing close to that level, but you get what I mean in terms of like the themes and heaviness of. So that threw me for a loop. Because when we saw the prison break, right, when we saw prisoners running, we were like, wait, did the son escape from prison? Because the son was arrested as well, right? Did the son escape from prison? Or no, it's the husband that has come. I'm like, oh, okay, this guy. I thought we'd just done away with all the husbands, to be honest. And then it's, I don't know, like, obviously it's us, right? We have problems with writing because nobody points out, it never comes up that the son was falsely accused and ended up arrested. And that didn't come into play in his relationship with his father or how he viewed his father when he was arrested, right? It didn't give him empathy, and it wasn't pointed out as hypocrisy. So it just did nothing, basically. There was.
I think the point of it was just to establish she helped him.
Yeah, exactly. It was just to establish she helped him. But like even before she had a chance to help him, they had already, formed some sort of friendship, right? As cousins, they already formed that friendship. They bonded away from the toxicity of their mothers. bonding over the shitty situations they're in due to their mother's silliness. So that had already happened. So yeah, it was like it just felt like a missed opportunity, and it's a bit annoying for it to be there and not be used. Then what else? I mean, this is the thing you complain about a lot. Like Nollywood likes to throw in sexual assaults of different, variations in there. So we're doing so well on the sexual assault front, and they're like, yeah, he killed a guy who I killed for trying to sexually assault me. Okay, all right. Okay, fine, whatever. Then what else? It's just that whole story and thing with the dad really threw me. I was like, okay, this film don't carry me go where I don't know. And we're in a different movie. And so I lost interest when we go into a different movie. And yeah, at some point things stopped meaning anything. They both went spiritual. I was like, okay, we're both going spiritual at the same time. Cool, fine, whatever. And it's just the escalation to spiritual, the escalation to a bombing, right? And there was the escalation to a bombing, and there was just no, there were no consequences for the person who did the bombing.
At all.
Like, not even like a proper dress down. Just like, why would you do that? Wait for me, I'm coming. And Mercy shows up and they have this big Tom and Jerry fight, right? Or, Family Guy, Peter and the chicken. They have that fight, right? And it's just, okay, your daughter committed arson. Are we going to address that? Or we just have murderers in the family anyway? That was such a big thing. Just nothing, right? No consequences to that silly child, nothing. Anyway, the escalation to an explosion, and then immediately we're going spiritual. If the mothers that had the core rivalry had never gone spiritual on each other, it was just kind of crazy that these people have reached the level of going spiritual, right? And it's just, yeah, sure, okay, let's go spiritual. The spirituality goes to shit and nothing happens. Like in good old days of old Nollywood, if you drop the thing they say should not touch the ground, you will run mad, right? Mercy's thing did not complete, her leg would have swollen up. And somebody would have had to do a confession before they resolve. But nothing. None of that. We don't have that. And then we get to the end of it, the resolution, and it's just, it's even off screen, right? Like, we see Mercy helping her, sure. But that choice, that decision, to this whole film, right? Or at least 2/3 of it has been about their conflict, born from their mother's conflict. And we just get nothing. We don't see them resolve it, right? We see Funke's character begging. We see Mercy Johnson's character being stubborn. We see a bit more begging. There's a look, and then she's helping her. And it's such a disappointing conclusion for a rivalry that has gone on for so long, right? And then the mothers, right? The mothers are the ones with the rivalry. Absolutely boggles my mind that Tina Amba's character was like, okay, we need to move on. But why? Like, oh, I've just thought about it and we shouldn't keep fighting. And it just doesn't work. And there's no resolution with Shola Shoboli's character, right? Like, we don't know what that's the driving force behind this babe's antagonism, right, for her sister. She's the one that keeps driving. She's the one that says go spiritual. She's not around now, so y'all have made up. But when you go back home, is she going to tell you to go blow up her shop or something again? Right? We don't know. It's just, and typically I'm fine with not knowing, but like all of that. And then just as a side note or point, I don't know where they sent the husband to. It's just, unless he's about to take on menial jobs for the rest of his life, he's gonna have to, right? Because he did escape from prison and they have announced his name. But then again, it is Nigeria. Maybe he'll get a declaration of age, new birth certificate, and get into political office. So yeah, that's it.
All right. Okay. I think Mrs. C covered that my side as well as possibly could. Yes, and I take the criticism of knowing what it is. Yeah, I was thinking in terms of the way it's shot, the kind of exposition it has, the things keep the way like things keep happening, and like there being an actual story, and even the way it gets repetitive in the middle, where it's you just, oh, she did this and then 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 she did yeah. If you're into the fights, it's good and fun for you. If you are not into it, you're not going to enjoy it. I wasn't. I was following the story more than I was enjoying the comedy, to be honest. I had a couple of chuckles here and there, but like the comedy didn't do anything for me. I thought it's funny because like Adabud said something I strongly disagree with and something that I agree with. But one of the things that makes me disagree with her about the comedy was because of how much more sort of tepid Mercy Johnson is in this, where she because of her like her Igbo, I feel like she's forced to do, because she has to do all this her one Igbo, which is fine, but I mean like I know like she's not from this is not I don't think anyway, right? No, she's not. This is not her. This is not her. No, this is not her. Her mother tongue, sure. But I think having to visit, quickly branch some Igbo on her way, just felt apparent that, and it did not connect with the rest of her performance. And it's something that it didn't take me out too much, but it just was apparent that that was not what she was comfortable with. Miss C talked about the end, so I'm not going to. Oh, so what about the? So I've said the comedy wasn't funny. Miss C talked about the end. Miss C talked about the suicide bomb.
That's a suicide bombing.
That's suicide bombing. It's great.
That's a bombing.
Not suicide bombing. Sorry. I don't know. I thought bombing. I thought suicide bombing. But yes, I think one of just to add to that, like, cause I think they showed people coming out of there with injuries, which honestly we didn't need to see that. It doesn't work with the tone. It doesn't work with the tone. Yeah, like that part of it where they were doing crazy things to each other. I bought that as, hey, look how wacky this comedy is. And that's why that third act just doesn't work at all. The tone is completely different, and it doesn't. If you want us to feel the dread and the tension from this man's release, then we have to go revisit that bombing. Like then, like again, like it's something that bombing could happen in a film where things are just escalating to stupendous levels, but like don't really think about it. It used to be how comic books used to treat like superheroes throwing people into buildings, and like you think, are there not people in these buildings? Like people not dying and all of that. Like, yeah, that's how we just go, oh, is this just part of this genre language? Essentially, like, yeah, things get wacky, but yeah, you can't switch it up and then ask me to care about the potential escape of this man from prison and detention, or what if he gets caught and all of that. It's, yeah, for me, those turns really didn't work. But yes, I think you can just revert to Mrs. C for any for my issues with it. And but to be honest, I have to say that it's yeah, no, I'm going to leave that for other people to push back. Okay, we're going to enter the pushback section. Arinze, I know I had pushback, so I'm going to let him start. And then if you do have pushback, please put your hands up and we'll go from there. Arinze, you had pushback in defense of something. Go ahead.
Okay, all right, thank you. I wanted to talk about, some people said the comedy was I don't know, was it that the comedy was, it would have done better as a drama? And then I remembered, or I looked back on days where I used to love like horror movies, and there's this thing where you have horror movies that are just purposelessly gory, like just for no meaning. Like you just see people come up on somebody and just stab somebody. I was imagining in the case of comedy that I just recently ventured into this genre and how it works. And I imagine that it's the same thing for comedy, that you can't just go on and just, comedy all through. There's a story. And in this particular case, I think they were going for how, I don't know, the cynicism in, this inherited rivalry, in this um meaningless fight that goes on. Like in the case where she was, by she I mean, what's her name again, Yejide, where she was climbing that mountain, and then she climbed, and then she was thirsty, and then she didn't drink water. But then one thing that she was not supposed to do also was let the soap down, and she let the soap down. And you just have to think about all the stupid things that he have done for this, and then it's a waste of time. And a lot of people were commenting on like what was the purpose and the expectations of, more theatrical things to happen. And to me, what made the movie somehow bad at times was the theatricality that was just sometimes overblown. And if if something had happened to Yejide, like a swollen feet, or I would have been angry. I would have closed the movie entirely, because it wouldn't have made sense. The point of her um losing, or sorry, that this thing falling down, the soap falling down, was that in the end it's just a waste of time. The same way for Mercy Johnson, there were, deeper repercussions, because hers had, like, that was the point of her this thing. There was going to be like a swollen feet for her, in order to advance the plot into her meeting her Hausa lover, massaging her, staying, and all the other things that come. But I felt that dropping of the soap and the whole thing just being that nothing happened anyway, like, I think it was controlled. It was part of the scenes that I felt were really controlled. Like, it knew its limits. It didn't like blow things out of proportion and start giving like meaningless repercussions to a simple rule that she broke. And it was like it's so small, don't drop the soap, and then your mother who sent you on this journey is now the reason why. It was just interesting. I don't know, it was funny for me. And yeah, so I felt that it didn't need to be purposelessly humorous. Like, it wasn't a collection of skits, it's a whole movie. So there are parts where something would happen. Like, I'm currently watching Ted Lasso, and there's like this characters with, like, divorce, panic attack, football, everything is happening there, but it's still a comedy show about football, and it still like has all these things. So I think that's what Buka, Battle on Buka Street was. It was a movie about like um rivalry in a polygamous home, like fighting is up and down, But then it was also supposed to be funny. I think the third act is what kind of like spoiled the vibe specifically, because it was like they forgot the whole comedy entirely towards the end. But I don't think that made the rest of the comedy meaningless. And in my opinion, I felt that the movie would have worked better as a mini series. I don't know, because like, it was like, if the things that they put into the movie, the subplots that they put into the movie, in order to like fleshing it out, to have that resolution that is kind of, more satisfying, so to speak, it would have been like something that would have taken like another episode, and then you have like 50 minutes or 30 minutes given to it specifically. I don't know how they would do it, but somehow they would do it. I felt like, unless if they had to like start removing some other subplots of the movie, and then you would have that. So I felt, yeah, the resolution would have done better. The final act would have done better, but then it wouldn't have been reasonable for the movie to be, just comedy throughout and stuff. There had to be something that held us in, to make us root for the characters and stuff like that. Yeah. So thank you. That's all.
All right, thanks, Arinze. I would say to that, I think one of the things with the unevenness of those sections, that, okay, so the issue is when you have an explosion, again, like I said, like that could have been in the shop. You can have that where it's like, okay, that's wacky, nothing. Yes, that's part of the genre of that world. But you can't ask, if you're gonna ask people to care about anything else, it can't be anything like that is less than an explosion, because you've already played the explosion as a joke. Um, so like, for example, in Ted Lasso, if people were making fun of if people were making fun of other people with maybe very severe mental illness or something like that, and then you expect us to take a panic attack seriously, that would be sort of closer to what we're trying to say. Is like, you can't on one hand say, oh, this is just, this part of it is funny. It has to do with exactly the type of language. There are tons of movies that are good at actually juggling the both comedy and pathos, but like it's all of the things tend to be grounded in the world that is built in. It's just that feels uneven. Anyway, for me, anyway, that's what I'm saying. But anyway, if anybody has anything to add to any pushback, just feel free. All right. I think Oyinka is next.
Yes. So I have to say, I do agree that the ending was rushed. And I'm I'm okay with it because I didn't want the movie to be any longer. If I was going to ask that, and it does seem like the ending of the movie, that the something of the movie was about the guy, but I might want to put another like way of viewing it. The ending of the movie was not necessarily about just the guy, even though it does seem like that. It was maybe the fact that Mercy was presented with something that she could definitely use to destroy, like Funke, right? She could use it so strongly, and she even, in fact, used it. But then she changes it as something, and the entire family, our daughter and all the things, then helped this family be able to escape something that is very traumatizing, about that could very much affect them. So it's kind of like a coming together, a kind of ending of coming together. It is not resolved in the way that we will try to we want to see, or we are more used to it, or we think that this is catharsis. It is resolved in kind of, it's kind of like she was able to overcome are very much range for revenge to make this one decision. And that's also a common story ending that is also I'm okay with, because I don't necessarily say, sometimes I'm okay with it, sometimes I'm not okay with it. This is one of the times I'm okay with it, because I don't necessarily think every movie or every single story should have kind of the same structure of like, oh, there is going to be, let's resolve this thing, because I don't necessarily think that's now having like one monopolious way of telling stories. I don't necessarily think that. But also a pushback on the jail thing. The son does go to jail, right? But the son does not believe his father went to jail for was not wrongly taken to jail. He does not believe that. They even told their mother, they were like, okay, why didn't you explain that indeed this was the reason? You kept on just saying that, oh, it was like, you kept on saying that, oh, it was unjust, but you never gave me proof that it was unjust, and everybody believed, and they told us the reason why everybody believed that, because there was a rivalry between these two men, just believed, and what we were kept on getting from everybody, every single person, was like, no, this really happened, like your father just killed this, and we lived with this stigma for a very long time. It was until after their mother actually told the story that the son relents. I don't think it's, yes, did they miss a chance to be a little bit more delving of like, oh, maybe there should be a scene like, oh, I also went to jail wrongly. But I'm also okay with them not saying that, because then when he really learns, he tries to be close to his father, and they're doing the singing and the song thing. So I don't necessarily think that that was necessarily needed, um, or even that it necessarily needed for us to believe that now he is on the side of his father. He's now on the side of the father because he has the full story. His mother told him what the father did. His mother finally was completely honest with him. And now he has the evidence to believe something counter. So that's just one of the pushback that I have. You may say that they didn't necessarily set this thing up well, or well enough to where people will understand it very well. That's an issue of decisions of how to set it. Um, so it's kind of two different. For me, I just feel it's kind of tiny two different things. I don't think that movies should be within a genre, or should, if they have a tone and then they have a sudden shift of tone. I never think that as most of the issue. But yes, I do think that when that thing blowed up, and I think the writers kind of knew that, because she there is a scene where she went after the girl calls, she tells the girl off, and after that they do the fighting, and the father even says there's a person in hospital, there's a hole born into my money, they called me, the community called me, this and that. So that's like, it is said as part of the exposition. We've already said this movie has an issue with exposition. Um, Maybe the issue about the movie is that the movie does not choose very well the parts of its plot that should be exposition, and the parts of the plot that should be shown on screen. But I do think one thing that definitely did not help the movie was like that bombing was supposed to be taken as a serious thing, but the arrangement of the scene I did not think it worked to the benefit of the movie, because what should have happened is the scene where they fight in the market with all the food should have happened before the bomb, and the bomb should have gone off, and the scene where they're literally down in front of their father, and the father is talking about the consequences that happen, should have happened after that. So it will make people take seriously the consequences of of the bombing, because immediately after the bombing that we're supposed to take seriously, we go into a kind of funny, kind of cartoonish something, and I think that rearrangement was a little bit off. Or I also think there are many possible other ways that they could have done it. Like, they could have taken the bombing seriously by having like the girl seriously attain something, and then you can go into a more classic drama from like, okay, their child is about to go to Yale, this, and that. But they didn't choose that way, which is okay. But the way they chose to, I think what's it called? They missed the ball a little bit in that. But yeah, I think we were supposed to take that bombing seriously. It was just the way that they arranged the scenes that was off, because if you listen to what's being said by the dialogue, by the story, there are consequences for that action, but the visuals does not match what's being said.
Okay. I think, I guess it's possible you're right. It's just, it's difficult to, like you said, it's difficult to take it seriously when you closely follow it with that Tom and Jerry fight scene at the end, which I actually thought was kind of funny. All right. I think Amadou is next.
Actually, sorry, I wanted to just clarify
Yeah.
something. So to be clear, your first point, you are proposing that the movie can spend an hour and a half exploring this beef that we're supposed to care about the entire movie, and then end the movie just glossing over it.
I am not saying, okay. I said that there's another way you can see it. Usually, like, what people expect most clearly is like, okay, there is the how what's it called, catharsis, that the story is going to be
Why
like, oh,
advice
we're
from
going to jump. I am just proposing that there's also another way of saying that she had she was presented with a perfect weapon for revenge that she says she's always wanted. And in the last something, remembering her mother and everything, she chose to do something else. That is also another way of of storytelling, of like she overcome
remembered
something.
her mother?
It's not necessary for it. I'm not saying all the time it's okay to have
Sorry,
movies
did
do that.
you remember her mother?
But yeah, that's what I am saying. Like, okay,
Did you
there
remember
are
her?
many ways to like go to that, but it depends on, if you don't
But
like it, you don't like it. If you
but
like
this
it, you like
movie
it. It's
did
okay.
none of that. Like this movie didn't do any way at all. It just glossed
But
over.
okay, that's how you feel it is. But
It's not how it feels.
I
What's on?
see. I feel like it did that way. I feel like it did it in that way, and I was okay with it. But I'm not saying everybody else should be okay with it. I'm just explaining like how how I was okay with sort of that sort of way of doing it. I also did not say the other way of doing it was also bad. I also said that, yeah, it's expected, and that if they do it that way too, I would have also liked it too. I would have liked both of those. Something I'll be okay with both of it.
Okay, Mo, do you want to jump? Elizabeth, do you want to jump in?
Yeah,
Push
I will
back.
try to be quick with this. So what I wanted to, oh God, I think I had like to push back. So what I wanted to say is I don't mind genre bending, right? Because it happens. I mean, you can decide what you want to do, but you have to sequence it properly or structure it in a better way. And I now that I'm calmer than the first time I spoke, I think I recognize exactly the reason why this movie got me really pissed. And it's reminiscent of Blood Sisters. The need for us to prioritize a subplot over the overarching plot, it is grating. It really grates my nerves. Like, why? Because this is what this movie does. So apart from genre bending, like, oh, it was comedy and then ended in something more dramatic, it does not even flow in a way that it should. The resolution was a huge subplot, a subplot that was not even established, that was just like said in passing. And we didn't really see until bam, like the end of the second act, right? And then it changed the entire pace and then the tone of this movie till the end, to the third act. This is the problem that this movie has. This is the major problem. If you look at it, prioritizing that subplot, that old prison break subplot over the rivalry of the sisters. And nobody's saying that, oh, we want to kiki all through, right? We should actually kiki all through. But even when you're sliding in the comedies, I mean, the drama in this comedy, it should flow, it should be fluid in ways where we know when to take you seriously and when we shouldn't be taking you seriously, because a comedy is don't take me seriously. And that's why watching for me, watching the entire first act into the second act where they were doing their back and forth bickering, I didn't ask a lot of whys, because this is what comedy does, right? You're using this whole prank thing to push some form of funny thing. So I'm like, yeah, sure, that makes sense. I shouldn't really think a lot about it because it's comedy. And then you delve into like the more serious big boy stuff. And then you just want to shoddily resolve it and then run out. I'm like, yeah, I'm done. And I think that's the problem that this movie has. It's not consistent and it's structured like, okay, like the children's angle, right? If it was concurrently shown, the sequencing, right? If it was concurrently shown with all the bickering that was happening at the market, of which even that old bickering, if they remove all of the filler scenes, that the unnecessary scenes, you'll be able to properly flesh out every single characterization and have your character development all up to the end. You want to make it didactic, you want to be teaching us a lesson, well, sure, why not? And that's why that scene where the son couldn't empathize with the father, or he waited until the mom, and that's why it didn't work. Like, it should, you look at it like, yeah, but the mom explained to him and that's why he got it. But this is a boy that was also framed for a rivalry we didn't see. We were told about this rivalry from Fred, and Fred set him up. We did not know how that, again, doing a lot of telling rather than showing. We don't know how that. So you see, he should be able to connect. This is what I think Mrs. C was trying to say. Should be able to connect and empathize. Again, in writing, that should have popped up in your characterization. Why is your character acting in this manner? And that is why everybody's talking about how Awele's actions do not make sense at some point. She just kept going and devolving and devolving and devolving. And we hardly saw any form of character development. I know that they introduced Sunny Danger's character as some form of her own moral conscience, in a way where the friendship is supposed to help her out, and then maybe this is our own journey to self. This is where, our own redemption arc comes up. We still did not see that redemption arc. We just saw that all of like 10 seconds at the end. We're like, yeah, sure, I'll help you, sort of situation. So it's a shoddy job that didn't do a lot of job fleshing out its characters, their idiosyncrasies, why they do what, their motivations, why they act this way. And that's why you should be able to say, okay, this son, he would have said this to his dad because this is the kind of person he is. And these are the kind of experiences he's had. And that is why every action of your characters will make sense upon the sort of characterizations that you've established, giving them. Anyways, that's my feedback. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Elizabeth. Yeah, I'm just going to add quickly as well that I thought somebody complained about Mercy Johnson's performance. I think it might be Azema of Ghana, being too cartoonish. And I was fine with that, especially in something like Possible, because that was an out-and-out comedy. And even in this, like in the first two acts, I was fine with that because, again, it felt to me that that was what they were going for. It felt like very slapstick comedy. I mean, like just the way people would start shouting at each other and just throw their hands up in the air, and just that fight in the that fight in the market is peak, good slapstick. It is. It was fun. So that's for me what the problem with the Clash. So like we went from that, and very quickly we went to sexual assault, murder, prison escape in almost no time. So yeah, that's I don't know. I mean, like, I guess nothing is possible in film, but like that's gonna be a very tough ask for anybody to meld like slapstick comedy of that sort. Where like, it's like fine to laugh at somebody's pain, that kind of thing. Like something that you wouldn't naturally laugh at in real life because you're not a psychopath, right? But like I don't think you can also do that and then ask people to take actual serious or physical pain or you can't ask us to take that seriously at the same time. And I think that's what's it. All right. Amaduji, and then we'll do summaries.
Okay. I think what everyone has said is kind of valid, but I think people that are saying this movie doesn't know what it is, people that they don't know Funke. I mean, they are just new to Funke, because if you know Funke from when she was still doing Yoruba movies, you know that she's kind of person that all her movies are kind of PSA. She make sure she's trying to like teach people some lesson, kind of. Even in Jennifer, the first Jennifer went from the comedy to people getting kidnapped, people getting used for ritual, kind of. So I think the movie knows it knows its targeted audience, and it's kind of want to teach people that these are the people coming to view these movies, and people that would learn, we learn this kind of lesson, we learn this kind of thing. So at the beginning, I felt like this movie was going to teach us why you should marry two wives, or why you should be united, kind of. I knew it was going to do that. So I don't kind of agree with that, because it knows what it wants to be. Kind of, yeah. That's all I have to say.
All right, okay. We've all had awards. Let's do the summary before we talk about what we might potentially discuss next Sunday on Nollywood Film Club. All right, the summaries for Battle on Buka Street. Anycons, do you want to start us off?
Yes. So I just want to say, I tend to like most things. It's very, very bad. It's very, very hurtful for me to not like it. Um, so apologies about that. Um, this movie is an okay. No, I will actually increase it to like it's a good mainstream Nollywood movie that is just meant for. It's not trying to be more. How am I going to say? It's not a deep exploration of any sort of topic or themes or anything like that. It's a it's just a mainstream trying to be entertaining, give you all the things, and it's very steeped in Nigerianness, and it's a very Nigerian movie with good production. And I would recommend I would recommend this movie to people. But like I always say, mm, movies are just meant for you to watch and forget your troubles, or not forget your troubles, or get angry at it and whatever, whatever. Anyhow, on a Sunday night, after you work or anything, you can put it on, give it 20 minutes. If you don't like it, change it. Watch another movie. Or if you want to watch it, watch it. Eh, it's all your choice.
All right. Thanks, Yinka. Nice to see you back. Yinka summary back. Never have to apologize for anybody. Your take on anything. Please feel free here. Elizabeth, please tell us your summary.
Summary is I did not enjoy watching it. I thought it was very flat. I've already given the reasons why I did not like watching it. Maybe I would have had a different opinion if I watched it at the cinema. So maybe I would have fought with the people at the counter and asked for my money back. Who knows? But if you like Funke's movie, another thing, she's got a great following, and then people seem to like have kind of comedy. So if you like it, watch it. It's your prerogative. Personally, I do not like it. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Elizabeth. Otas, please give us your summary.
Battle on Buka Street, I thought was a disjointed attempt that takes too long to not get to the point. It had the cast and the production of a mainstream movie with the storyline and resolution of a YouTube movie. I would not rewatch or recommend it.
Okay. Omar, did you please give us your summary?
Based on what I've seen this weekend, I would recommend Battle on Buka Street over anything. No, I would recommend Battle on Buka Street over what I've seen this weekend. So it's okay for me. Not like it's something excellent, but it's okay for me. I would recommend it.
All right. Thanks, Omar. Ada, please give us your summary.
My summary is I like this movie. It was quite fun, even with the twist. I still quite enjoyed it. Not sure if I'll watch it again anytime soon, just because it was too long. And it didn't give me that resolution I really, really wanted towards the end. It was, it's very rushed, and it did not match up the energy that it was set up with. But I still really, really liked it, and I think it was really funny, and I would definitely recommend it. Thank you.
Thanks, Ada. Arinze, please give us your summary. Arinze, are you there? All right. Mr. C, you want to give us your summary?
Yeah, so I did enjoy some of this film. I think it was, I mean, there's clearly a reason why it was highest grossing film, right?
Okay.
Funke, yes. So there is, I think there's a large audience that will enjoy this. So I would recommend it, just with the caveat that don't be surprised if it takes you in a totally different direction. But I will not be rewatching now.
All right. Yeah, I was kind of enjoying this until some parts in the second act where it became repetitive for me, and I wasn't enjoying a lot of the comedy, but I like the story. I don't like the ending. The ending is very off for me. yeah, I think in general it's not something I say I enjoyed. But I can see other people. It's just that comedy. If you can roll with this type of if you like a Funke comedy, I think this is right up your street. If not, no, I don't think there's a lot in there for you, to be honest. All right. Okay, thanks everyone who hang on, let me just see if Arinze can get his. Arinze, are you able to give a summary? Can we hear you? Arinze, can you?
Okay.
Do you want to give summary?
Okay, my summary. I think that Battle on Buka Street was hugely entertaining. I felt it's a movie I would recommend, definitely recommend. It's a movie you can watch with friends for the fun of it, and it's a movie that aims to entertain and achieves that, and it knows its audience and it caters to them. So basically, that's what the movie is. Like I said earlier, I give it an 8/10. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Arinze. Next week on Nollywood Film Club, we have.
Please, you better say something nice.
I don't actually know what's going on. It depends on. I think Yahoo Plus is currently on schedule, but we haven't got an official confirmation from Netflix, so we don't.
Isn't that movie on Prime?
Eh?
That movie on
We're
Prime.
forgetting a movie that just came out.
Wait. Okay. Welcome.
No, excuse me. I will commit mutiny. I've already sent it off to you.
Wow.
I will commit mutiny.
We're not watching anything else.
I not call any
Excuse
names.
you cannot listen to the loud minority. The loud minority cannot
Before
listen.
I meet everybody real quick, no, we need to. If Yahoo Plus is if Netflix confirms Yahoo Plus by I guess I think Monday or Tuesday, that's the film we will be watching. This it's been on our watch list for a long time, and yeah, so that's what's going to happen. If not, we will be putting up a poll of
I'll be moved. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay, but like this. Okay, but this is what's going to happen. Like, just let me finish. If that doesn't happen, then what will happen is we'll put a poll, and oh my God. If that doesn't happen, it will be we'll put up a poll between I think Giacomo and I think House of Secrets, and we'll see which one we discuss on Sunday. Maybe there might be an option for both. I don't know how I feel. If that's the case, it's going to be 3 minutes per person. Without it's going to be stated. All right. Anyway, so we'll catch you guys next Sunday. Thanks for everyone who did come on and discuss with us. Thanks for the new people. Arinze, shout out to you. Enjoyed everybody's different perspectives. It seems like kind of half on this movie, but it was a good conversation. I did enjoy it. And we'll see you next Sunday, guys. Take very good care.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Choose House of Secrets, please.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the episode. If you enjoyed listening and would like to join live, just follow us on Twitter at IrokoCritic and join us every Sunday, 6 p.m. West African time on our spaces.